Ciao ragazzi, bentornati a Genshin. Sono il vostro coccodrillo Mato 700 che vi parla e stiamo facendo l'evento di albedo di un momento che mi sfugge il nome. Di Aiato. Stiamo facendo. È il personaggio messo da poco, mi sfugge il nome. Stiamo tornando da albedo perché Paimon ha parlato un po' troppo e...
Paimon, how are you? And who is this accompanying you?
sarà stato sfuggire qualche dettaglino. Guardate il video scorso per i dettagli.
Forgive me. It's rude of me to introduce myself by my pen name when meeting in person. Please, call me xinqiu.
And you may call me Albedo then.
No.
Prima volta che si incontrano.
That would be most proper.
Why not? Seeing as we're both friends of the Traveler, it'd be more convenient for us to use our real names. Besides, we've already corresponded with each other many times before. In fact, I feel a bit self-conscious seeing you act so politely.
It's not just you, Albedo. We haven't seen xinqiu act this awkward before either.
You guys, it's certainly not good taste for you two to be teasing me like that. Oh, by the way, we happened to find a story from the poem hunt competition at the docks. I heard that you are collecting them.
Poem hunt?
You know, that thing where we have to find pieces of
Gli
paper with stories of the
è
five
sfuggito
powers.
qualche dettaglio. Sto provando a
And then he was allowed to be a model for one of your
risolverlo con
bookers.
albedo. Ma albedo non sa nulla di tutto questo.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Oh sì, sì. Dopo qualche momento
I understand the
che si
story.
parlano.
Thank you. It's very helpful.
Splendid. Though, I'm still piecing together the story myself. Would you kindly explain it to me in more detail?
If all of you are free, why don't we discuss this over a meal?
Oh, well, about that.
Do you have other plans, xinqiu?
No, not at all. Speaking of dining, Shimura's unagi chasuke is quite delicious. Would you like to go there?
Shimura's. Unfortunately, today is a bit windy. How about Uyu Restaurant instead?
That's perfectly fine with me. But I must first unpack my luggage. Let's meet later at Uyu Restaurant.
Something didn't quite add up just now.
Huh? No way. Paimon thinks we have good film together. Did we say something we weren't supposed to?
No, Paimon, I'm not referring to us. Traveler, what are your thoughts?
Huh? Xinqiu's suspicious. Hey, what are you two talking about?
Paimon, you read the poem, right? Although it may seem confusing to xinqiu on its own, what if we read it together with a previous poem we found?
Read them together? Let's see. Suiko lost Aoi no Okina's poem in a drunken stupor. So, Aoi no Okina recovered the poem and gave it to some mysterious person. Huh? Wait a minute. Could today's story be hinting that the one who stole the latest copies of a... No way! That can't be right! Xinqiu only arrived in Inazuma this morning!
And that is precisely the point of suspicion. If xinqiu had only just arrived in Inazuma, how could he recommend Shimura's chasuke? Moreover, he didn't raise any questions when I suggested another place because of the windy weather. This means he knows that Shimura's is an open-air restaurant.
Are you saying that xinqiu has already been in Inazuma for some time? And that he's only pretending he just arrived?
Yes, that is indeed my conclusion.
But how could xinqiu be the book thief? His mission is to fight for justice, isn't it? There's no way he'd do something against his own ideals.
Calm down, Paimon. Even though this is the first time I've met xinqiu in person, we've communicated via letters for some time now. I do have some understanding of... I think there must be some deeper motive at play here. The story also tells us that Aoi no...
Huh? Could Xinqiu be in danger?
It's difficult to say at this point. But given that Uyu restaurant is indoors, it'll be easy for us to detect anyone following or eavesdropping on us. I think it should... I'll be relying on your assistance to get to the bottom of this matter. Good. Then let's head to Uyu restaurant.
Andiamo a vedere al ristorante cosa è successo. È un po' distante. È 840 metri. In giù. Perfetto. È in nessuna città. Usiamo il teletrasporto, questo qua sopra. Andiamo subito e partiamo. Ecco, siamo arrivati. Finito il teletrasporto. Andiamo da Uyu ristorante. E poi incontriamo di nuovo Sangun. Scusate per la pronuncia. Ristorante di pesce.
Suspicious around. It seems clear for the moment.
Pesce di mare, agosto e tutto. Ma non che Sangun.
And what do we talk about when Xinqiu gets here?
First, we must ascertain whether xinqiu was already in Inazuma or not. If we can find evidence of him deceiving us, then we can use it as leverage to persuade him to tell us the truth. Since we're still waiting for him, why don't you go and chat with other guests in the restaurant and see if you can learn anything useful?
Entriamo, vediamo se è qua all'interno. Se c'è all'interno. Non mi aspettavo che sia caricamento anche qua. Anche lungo come caricamento? No, dai. Togliamo l'albedo.
Albedo, what should we talk about when Xinqiu gets here? Any ideas?
Vediamo se ha un'idea dove può essere andata.
I will try to break the ice by talking about our work on novels and illustrations. If he really is hiding something, then he might feel even more nervous than we do. If we start by talking about our work creating novels, perhaps he will lower his guard.
Oh, come to think of it, Xinqiu mentioned that he'd like to thank you for finishing the illustrations on time. He said they looked amazing despite the time you had.
Is that so? That is also a very valuable clue.
Vediamo anche con Yota.
Last place at the Irodori Festival is when they release the all-new publications. The one I'm really looking forward to is A Legend of Sword.
That's right. A signed first edition is going to become quite the collectible. I've got to get my hands on a copy.
I've seen Genyu's signature before. His handwriting is super neat. He must be really diligent about his style.
You'll be there in person on the day of the release, so we'll get a good look at him then. I hear that he's actually pretty young.
Wait a minute, did you just hear that? Not only will Xinqiu be signing novels at the release, but his handwriting is super neat?
Che manca? Vedi forse sto di sopra? No, forse era ristoratore. Dovevamo parlargli. Esatto. Ciao
What
ristoratore.
can I get for you?
Hai trovato Sounding?
Do you have any special recommendations today?
Why, of course. I personally recommend our freshly caught seafood. It's been pouring these past few days, so the fishing boats haven't been able to sail at all. But
So the
Mentre
weather
lui
in sea has
che
been
gli
bad
serve il
these
cibo
past few days?
si è passata qua.
it sure has. A few guests from Liyue were just telling me that their boat was heaving and rolling all the way here. They couldn't do anything but sleep the entire trip.
Oh, this might be some useful information.
Welcome to Uyu Restaurant.
Adesso
was
ci fermiamo a mangiare.
Indonesian cuisine largely consists
Non
of
cercavamo,
fresh seafood, which is certainly to my
cercavamo informazioni
We were
per
worried we might not have... How's our chip? Let's go
foglie
to Shinjo and see if he says it.
che avevano
Maybe we
trovato.
can start by asking him about the journey. By the way, Xinqiu, what book were you reading on the way here?
Oh, I was reading a novel called Pretty Please Kitsune Guji. It was sent to me by my editor.
Didn't you feel dizzy while reading on the ship?
It was nothing I couldn't handle. Don't forget, I'm proficient in the arts of the Guhua clan. That being said, there weren't quite a few people aboard who felt seasick.
Well, there doesn't seem to be anything suspicious about what he said so far.
To be honest, there wasn't much to see. Just water all around, morning to night. The sheer monotony of the trip caused everyone to grow a little impatient. So, when the peak of Mount Yogo finally appeared in the distance as we approached the islands of Inazuma, everyone crowded the deck to have a look. However, the ship sailed along at a crawling pace. It took a whole day from the time we saw the mountain peak to the time we docked.
Paimon didn't catch anything suspicious so far. Oh, right! If it took an entire day to reach the docks, then it would have been pouring rain at the time they saw the top of the mountain.
We learned a couple of things from his account, but we still require more evidence. Let's discuss creating novels with Xinqiu.
While it is entertaining to read novels, writing one is an endeavor of its own.
Mi domando come fa Sanju a non notare che siamo a fianco da lei a non sentire quello che diciamo sottovoce.
There's still no guarantee that it will be to your liking.
I couldn't agree more. Whether it's writing a book, creating art, or studying alchemy, seldom can you really feel joy after seriously delving into the work.
Xinqiu and Albedo are getting into some deep topics now. But nothing suspicious is
Speaking of illustrations, Albedo, I've long wished to express my sincerest gratitude for providing the illustrations in my novel. My novel didn't sell well in Liyue, so I must admit that I had some reservations regarding its potential. Yet you've consistently managed to select the most important scene of the chapter for your illustrations. This made me feel as though what I was trying to express could be understood after all.
Thank you. However, I took some risks in the light novel illustrations are typically centered around the characters, but this time, I adopted a different approach in the illustration for the last chapter.
Well, that scene was intended to depict the change in the world, so I thought it very fitting to draw only...
Doesn't sound like anything suspicious has come up so far.
No, there was a crack in his alibi. My illustrations were set for printing the moment they arrived in Inazuma. So, logically speaking, there's no way he could possibly know what the illustrations look like. Xinqiu, we have something very important to ask you now.
Oh? Why the solemn looks all of a sudden? Huh? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Mr. Okazaki told us earlier that actually the weather at sea was very bad these last few days. So when you said that everyone came running to the deck to see Mount Yogo, that couldn't have happened.
On top of that, the latest installment of A Legend of Sword will only be revealed at the Irodori Festival. Even we, the creators, haven't received a sample copy. And if that's the case, how could you know what my illustrations look like?
Well...
The jib's up, Xinqiu. You were already in Inazuma before today, weren't you? Are you in some kind of danger but can't tell us the truth? Don't worry. The Traveler and Albedo are no pushovers. We can help you.
No, please. You misunderstand me. I suppose my lack of sleep is inevitably taking its toll on my mind. I didn't notice for a moment that you were testing me at all.
Più o meno
I
scoperta.
did, in fact, come to Inazuma early to handle some things. Let me consider how to explain this. Oh, this is most embarrassing.
Oh, well, if this
Guardate
isn't a
coincidenza,
coincidence,
c'è anche 20.
I didn't expect to see everyone
anyone here?
Huh? Tone deaf Bard, what are you doing here?
I heard that the owner of this establishment has some fine-aged wines. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to taste them.
Paimon knew you couldn't possibly be up to anything good.
Says who? In fact, I come as the bearer of good tidings. I just bumped into Kujo Sara a moment ago. She said that the Tenryou Commission has apprehended the criminal who stole those copies of A Legend of Sword. You needn't worry about it any longer. Huh? The criminal who stole A Legend of Sword? Did I say something I shouldn't have? Oh no. The person they apprehended. Was it by chance an editor named Onodera? Apologies, Kujo Sara didn't mention a name. But I saw her taking someone toward Hanamizaka. Everyone, it's too late to explain. We must make haste and rescue Onodera.
Siamo subito. E ora c'è il caricamento bianco. Ora sì, perché se è diventato giorno intanto che parlavamo. E dopo scopri che sia passato il giorno che la notte è tornata la notte. Dopo che abbiamo mangiato e tutto. Un po' distante ma non così tanto. Possiamo arrivare sui piedi. Se non scavalchiamo troppe cose. La stamina. Sono salvo. Salvo grazie a Rosa. Perfetto. Salvissimo. Che fortuna. Ora, 1 millimetro più avanti e sei affogato. 1 millimetro solo.
Please, wait. Onodera is innocent. Oh, so you must be the author of A Legend of Sword.
Lui l'avevamo
I
già
didn't
visto.
expect to see others tagging along with you. Anyway, you
Non mi
must
ricordo
take it away.
dove.
I can explain everything.
No need to worry, Genyu. I've just explained everything to Madame Kujo, and Kuroda has testified for me.
Yes. In fact, we were just getting ready to
Era
leave.
con l'evento
Oh, you. What a relief.
vecchio, quello che sarà con
Does everyone
dai,
else
come
here
che si
already
chiama?
know?
Il personaggio esotico di 5 stelle che è una
To
volpe.
be precise, we
Dai,
dispatched 2 additional squads
mi sfugge il nome
in
proprio.
order to prevent the suspect from escaping.
Xinqiu looks pretty flustered. What exactly is going on?
Though it's most embarrassing, it appears quite a few people are aware of the situation now. There's no use keeping it a secret. In the end, I'm the one responsible for this whole predicament.
No, Genyu. It's only appropriate that I take responsibility for this. Everyone, please let me explain. For the Iridori Festival, I recommended the idea of selling newly released novels signed by the authors. Not only was this the first major project I was in charge of since joining the Yai publishing house, but Lady Yai also gave me a lot of support. However, I did not discuss our plans with the authors in advance. As a result, it caused a great deal of trouble for Genyu.
Yes, to be frank, calligraphy is not my strong point, so signing events are really not my forte.
Even though such an event will be difficult for Genyu, after telling him how important the plans were to me, he immediately boarded a ship to Inazuma to come up with a solution. So these past few days, Genyu has been actively practicing his handwriting. However, it takes time to sign each book, and we realized the time we reserved for the signing was not nearly enough. So I came up with the idea of moving the new books from the warehouse to my place. That way, Genyu could use these few days to sign them all. I thought everything would work out without a hitch. I never expected that someone would immediately realize that the books were missing from the warehouse. To make things worse, I was on vacation and staying with Genyu in my house these past few days. I had no idea that the situation had turned into such a huge mess. because I wanted the...
Onodera, I agreed to your proposal because I didn't want the readers to know of my unsightly handwriting. Also, I knew that Onodera had been misled by one of my prior signatures. At a previous event, the Yai Publishing House had requested autographs of authors so that they could be put on display. I practiced tirelessly for an entire day to finally deliver a stylish and elegant signature for the event. But, looking back on it now, I had dug myself into a hole by delivering that nice signature for the sake of my pride.
Hey, come on, you two. Loosen up a little. The theft was nothing more than a simple misunderstanding. Besides, everyone has something they do not wish others to see.
Yeah, that's right. All that matters is that xinqiu and his books are okay.
Onodera, I think you should explain the truth regarding the stolen books to the rest of the people on Rito.
Yes, I understand. I'll apologize to everyone.
We should probably be heading back to Rito as well. Let's tag along.
Bene, per ora con questo video può passare così. Vi ringrazio per la visione e per il personaggio Volpe vorrei che, esatto, che se avete visto fino a qua, se scrivete nei commenti il nome di quel personaggio, il personaggio di 5 stelle con i capelli rosa. Scrivete nei commenti il suo nome e commentate questo video. Mettete un bel pollice su se vi è piaciuto e iscrivetevi al mio canale per non perdere altri video. Ciao, al prossimo video. Ciao ciao!
Genshin infused water with ice is the most effective.